Hey, what's up, Harry Potter fans? I figured, even though it's been about 10 years since the end of the Harry Potter franchise with Deathly Hallows Part 2, I figured I'd commemorate, I'd say, the 20th anniversary of the first Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone movie back in 2001. I remember at the time when seeing it for the first time, I was like about 14 years old, and it was quite fascinating at the time getting to see how the Harry Potter books would translate onto the screen, and surprisingly, it works quite well. Well, of course, many fans know not every plot element from the books, either retain well on the in the film version or can't always carry over into the film version, because of pace and length issues. But of course, for those that are already familiar with Harry Potter, and the Sorcerer's Stone, it deals with Harry Potter's first year at Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry, and of course, he also meets his friends, Ron and Hermione, in which they become the trio, and you become lifelong friends. And of course, during Harry's first adventure, he finds out on his 11th birthday that he's a wizard by a giant named Hagrid, who also works at Hogwarts. And of course, he meets many people along the way, including his arch nemesis Draco and Severus Snape, who of course Harry and Severus would have a complicated relationship that of course gets further fleshed out in the later books and films, and of course uh, Albus Dumbledore, the wizard that everybody fears, and of course Harry's main arch nemesis Voldemort, who tried to kill Harry as a baby, and then but of course that's how Harry ends up with the lightning scar on his forehead because he was known as the boy who lived. That's why everybody knew his name. And of course, 20 years later, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone remains a good movie. I mean, one of the more faithful adaptations from the books. I mean, well, it's lighter in tone because it's the beginning of Harry adventures before the tone wise shifts in Prisoner of Azkaban when it becomes a little bit more mature, a little bit more darker. And of course, it's also the film that introduces, of course, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson, who play the trio. So, I mean, what would I think about Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone 20 years later? I mean, like I said, it's good. It's fun to watch, especially for those fans of the Harry Potter books. I mean, even though maybe some of the effects might be dated, but of course, for its time, it worked. And like I said, overall, the film holds up rather well. You wouldn't think that it was in 2001 when Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out, but yeah, I guess like you ask yourself, where does 20 years go? And that's pretty much my review about Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone. 20 years later, I'm curious what other people think about the movie 20 years later. Do they feel it holds up? Do they feel they still enjoy it? Do they feel there could have been some changes? Feel free to comment. I'd like to hear some feedback. All right, everyone. Thanks.